All right, folks. Thanks for joining me on, I don't know, Vito D'Amico's channel here. I'm talking to the one and only Al Grose. He is a master magician. I know he doesn't, like, he rolled his eyes. He's like, here we go with the master magician. You really are. I've seen you work, and it's incredible. Uh, you are sleight of hand, and people don't know that. People don't know. Oh yeah, and he's also won funniest. No, I'm sorry. I won funniest magician with a hatchback. I just need you people to vote, and Al will win funniest magician in the universe. All you need to, I'll put a link. You just need to vote for him there, and it's kind of an inside joke. So, anyways, Al, can you explain uh, what you do and what type of magic you do?
Well, as you said, buddy, it's what I call sleight of hand, just all the stuff you kind of do with your fingers. I'm not a uh, big box person. I'm not saying that that's bad. It's just it doesn't suit how I perform. So most of the stuff I like to do is kind of close up to your right here in your face, and I like that better for me because it allows me to interact with people better. If I was on a stage or something, I don't feel I have that connection with them. And which is kind of my favorite part is just making people smile, making people laugh, making people go like, wow, how'd you do that?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I noticed the first time I watched you, it was, yeah, I remember they just said, hey, he's just going to go up, do a little, you were just to go up to just do a bit of time. Um, and I remember thinking, he doesn't have, a huge setup. I just thought, for some reason, I thought this guy's going to have a huge setup. He's going to, and you just, pulled stuff out of your pocket. You just, you had a little bit, a little bit on the side, and it was incredible. I remember the audience being just stunned, just going, what this is like really, they had to sit back. They couldn't come up close, but you performed it in a way that it freaked them out, and it freaked me out. And I just thought, this is great. And I remember you saying, hey, if you ever want to learn, more complicated magic, because I am, a lot of people look at me and they go, this is Chris Angel. Uh, if he did a lot of glue or fell off the back of a truck and hit his head. But you took your time and you're like, do you want to learn something really cool? And you would always teach me, at least you've taught me about 5 things. I practiced it the other night because when you don't practice, you kind of go, how do you do that again? How do you do that again? And you were just very, I remember we went to a coffee shop, sat down, um, you explained it. I remember people were looking over going, what are these guys doing? Are they, card sharks or something? And yeah, it was just a very nice, the way you took your time, explained it. You did something that was, I said, do you mind if I tape it on my phone? You were like, okay, sure, no problem. And I don't share that. I'm one of these guys that I don't like when people show off how it's done. I like it if you're a magician and you want to show another magician, great. But I'm not into this whole showing people how the people say trick. I say magic because to me, magic was always when I was little, um, seeing magic on TV, it was magical. The guys never stopped it and said, so many of magicians of old, they never stopped the show and go, hey, let me show you how it's done. You know, it was kind of, I like that. And to me, that's the fall of wrestling, because and I know you're like, well, what are you talking about? And I'll explain. When wrestling said that, hey, everything we do is pretty much fake, somebody writes it out, where the guys are just coming out there to perform what we've written out. I believe that turned off a lot of the older uh, uh, wrestling fans, because you always knew that it was never if you smash a guy in the face, you believed, you didn't believe, you were like, you knew as a kid that, I hate to say fake, but you knew that it was fake, but you knew that these guys were a little off. The characters that they were playing, you believe that they were crazy enough to do this sort of thing. So a magician to sit there, and I'm not picking on Penn and Teller. I'm not at all. Well, I'm a huge fan of theirs, but uh, I believe once you start telling people how tricks are done, they're not magicians. Like I really do not like those channels that go, hey, this is a card trick. You saw it on the show. This magician did it. Here, I'm going to break it down for you to show you exactly how that guy fooled Penn and Teller, or that woman fooled Penn and Teller. I don't like those. I think that's just the wrong way to go. I think that there should be a mystery. I love a good mystery, and I believe everybody likes a good mystery. You like chasing after that mystery. And if you really want to know, learn magic, either go to a class, like you were teaching at, you right now, you at Browsers in Toronto, but it was a virtual teaching, and that was just for magicians. They come in, they pay a bit, and you teach them a trick or whatever. But if you're online, just saying, hey, this is a trick. It took this magician about 10 years to figure out, and I'm going to show you in 3 minutes how he did it. I don't like that part of it. I just think you're destroying the mystery, the magic. People are like, well, what are you talking about? The mystery of the magic. I believe more than ever right now, people need to believe that, it's like the first time I saw a trick, you get that tingle. Not that you have to go to the bathroom, but you get that tingle of just enjoyment of just, wow, that was, how do you do that? How did it, how did she do that? Or, how did that happen? If you're, if people are out there to destroy it, um, and that's what it just seems like. They're just out there to kind of get views on their YouTube channel, to say, hey, this is how this guy did this trick, and I'm going to deconstruct how that trick was done just to show you. And you're like, oh wow, that was that was so easy. Why? How can that have fooled me? Well, yeah, you could get fooled if I tell you the combination to a lock. I mean, anybody could do that, but that is just destroying the art form. And magic is an entertainment art forms. Excuse me. So, anyway, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think I'm being a little too serious about it, or?
No, I think when you go on YouTube and you say this is how you do it, it kind of demeans it, like it cheapens it, right? You don't, do we go on YouTube and break down, this is how Spider-Man stuck to the wall
Mhm.
in, when Tobey Maguire was Spider-Man. Like we don't, for whatever reason, any other entertainment form isn't broken down. But for whatever reason, we feel that it magic, I think what it is that it gets a bad rap. It's a lot look at it like a lower form of entertainment. I'm kind of grateful to people like Shin Lim, who won America's Got Talent. You go, wow, yeah, it is. It's a legitimate, it's a skill, it's an art form, and it's a very unique form of entertainment. But when you go on and you say, hey, look, this is how we did it, well, you just kind of cheapened everything, right? Because then you go, oh, is that it? Oh, okay, that was it. Well, that seems simple enough. And too often, even when you were talking about lectures I've done or teaching, you'll always hear people say, they'll come up and ask, hey, you got any one I can learn in 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Well, no, you don't. I mean, because it is something that takes lots of practice. I go, I don't have anything I can teach you in 30. I mean, it seems easy enough to me, but you know, anything, if you're going to really, fool somebody that makes it look magical, you can't just, yeah, here in 30 seconds, you're good. Well, I don't think there's anything you can do that you can do in 30 seconds and be good at it.
Right.
Right. But too often it's always about that easy way out. And there's a great quote by a fellow named Darwin Ortiz. He would say that, imagine a piano player would say, I'm not going to play this piece. I've looked at it, it's too difficult. Right. But yet in magic, we're not going to, it's too difficult. We'll leave that alone. Like that's just absurd anywhere else. But magic, it's so commonplace. We just look for that easy way out where, as you said there, here, it's as simple as this. Oh, I can do that. And now I'm a magician. Right. So I think anything where you're exposing, I'm not worried about exposure as in like, they expose it and now I can't perform that trick. No, it's not that. It's more that people look and go, oh yeah. And it cheapens it. And that's what you don't want. You want it to be, you want it to be recognized as a legitimate form of entertainment because it can make people feel really good. And actually I heard, and as long as it's done in a very polite manner. In fact, I heard a great quote just today, which was, if I'm not fooling people, I'm failing to be a magician. But if I'm making people appear foolish, then I'm failing being a human being. Right? It's about being, being kind, being nice, and doing it in a manner people are like, wow, that was really fun. And they leave, like you said, with that sense of wonder that how did he do that? Right? Because I like the wrestling analogy. We all know wrestling is what it is, but on the same token, there's still a lot of skill in what they do, and you can't take that away. Right. But yeah, I don't like any kind of, I love teaching. But exposure for the sake of exposure, I don't even understand the motivation behind that.
I think it's kind of, I see, I won't say the name, but a few of them have YouTube channels that have huge followings. And I get it. You want huge followings and you want a lot of people to subscribe. I'll put a link to Al's, please subscribe to his if you want to learn magic. He has some pretty great tutorials on there, and there's also great videos. But there are guys out there that will show, like for instance, they'll grab the cards. I don't have the cards in front of me. They'll grab cards and they'll say, David Blaine, the cards that he uses, they're marked, but here, I'll show you where they're marked. You wouldn't see them unless I showed them to you. And I'm thinking, that guy, you could love him or hate him. He works so hard to manufacture, design those cards. And he did it in a way that if you're a magician, you would know these things. You don't need to tell other people about the cards. Okay. So I don't get that. And you look at it and the guy's got 6 million views and, you're just going, okay, I get why you're doing that. But in the long run, you're damaging your art form. It's like a sport. You're damaging the sport. You're damaging the whole, I've gone to a show where a woman will just, I don't know why, there always, some woman will always have something to drink and will yell out, I know how that's done. Or, you know what I mean? Like you get somebody that's, you're trying to do a trick, you're trying to concentrate on a trick. People they just think you just pull it out of thin air. Like it's so easy. And well, it is, if it is second nature, but if I'm constantly interrupting you in the middle of your act and you're not listening or paying attention, for instance, if you just go, hey, Vito, remember your card, it's a 4 diamonds. And I'm the only one to remember 4 diamonds. And then you say to the audience, okay, so Vito, you remembered your card? And I go, no. So the whole setup is destroyed. You're like, so, okay, so I guess we have to do it over. And I need somebody that isn't, on Quaaludes to help me out with this trick. So for me, it's always been like, I don't understand. In the long run, you're destroying. And people say, well, things progress. Yeah, they do, but you don't need to. I don't need to know what's behind the curtain. I just need to enjoy what's in front of me. And I think kids are losing that really neat thing you did. My son loves magic, and you're like, and John, the magic guy, he invited me over and he showed my son some magic. And, my son was just, stunned. He was just like, that guy's really good, and, and it's just like, it's like teaching the younger generation. Um, like, do you remember Wesley when we did the one show, the young boy, who's just an incredible. Uh, I love the kid, absolutely love him. Not in a pedophile way. I love him as, you know, just this kid is just what I love about him. He's serious. He's like that serious look about him. He's like a 42-year-old businessman trapped in a 12-year-old body. You know, he's just very serious, and his magic is so. Uh, uh, it's not for kids; it's for adults. You know, and uh, I remember looking at him, and I remember a woman, the manager. She comes up and she says, "You look at that kid like it's just like he's your child." Like you just smile and there's just this this love, and the love that I have is this child, this young man has uh, he's trying to perform in front of adults, and he's doing an awesome job at it. He had a suit, he was dressed up like a little man, and it was just enjoyable to watch. And the older magicians that are showing off how this is done, or YouTubers that are showing this how this is done, you're really hurting this kid's future. And they're saying, well, magic will get better. You need to be better because they showed how the trick was done. And I'm like, no, yeah, like I've seen you where you've taken a trick and made it better, but that's taken you a long time. You didn't just sit there and go, you know what? Give me 5 minutes. I'll make that trick that's been around for, 60, 70 years, and I'll make it better in less than 3 minutes. That takes a long time to deconstruct it and make it different, where other magicians will look at you and say, how did he do that? I know what trick that is, but how did he change it? How did he do that? So I'm not into that whole, I think you're ruining it for younger performers and people that are that love the mystery, that love, we all love a mystery. Is there a Loch Ness monster? Probably not. I mean, 99.9% there's no Loch Ness monster, but we like to believe. We like to say, there is a, probably in that, in that lake over there, there's a monster. Did you know that? And it's just it's that, is there a monster? No, but we'd like to believe there is that believe. Did you make that elephant disappear? Did you make that coin vanish in thin air, like my hand does? Look at that. I'm such a pro at these. Look at this. Like, I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out. God, you know what I mean? So the mystery, Al, is just, I do not enjoy seeing that. It really annoys me. I caught my son watching those videos. I'd rather him watching porn than watching some magician explaining how this is done. You're destroying the art form. Um, and yeah, I, where do you see it going? Where do you see this? Where do you see magic going? Al, you froze? I lost him there for a second.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, sorry, it disconnected. And hang on, I'm just gonna maximize it again. There we go. Yeah, it went loaded it and it disconnected. It
Yeah, it just
reconnected
froze
again.
there for a second. I thought you were like either frozen or you were busy going to the bathroom. So
No. It went. It just was like telling me you're unstable, and it just cut. And I was about to send you a text saying I lost you, and then you came back. But I got the general gist of what you were talking about there,
yeah,
like with Wesley and stuff. I think when people who kind of yell the "I know how you did it" and stuff like that, some people just, it's like they want the attention themselves, right? I mean, you're a comedian, you've got those people, right, who want to pipe up,
yeah,
right? Because it's a shortcut, because they didn't do the work you did, and it's a shortcut for them to kind of stand up there. They can yell and scream and get some attention. I try as much as possible. I view it like if somebody's craving attention, for me, I try not to shun them. I will give it to them. It's like, okay, right? If that's what you want to do, and I'll always do it very politely. But you're right. I mean, it throws the rhythm right off. And I always equate it to both my brothers are professional musicians, and I always equate magic and music. And what if a guy, if somebody's playing guitar in a band, would you walk up and partway through it, here, I want to look at your guitar? Like, that would be absurd, right? Would you midway through the song, somebody just cuts it off and wants to start to go, I can do that? Like, you just wouldn't do that. And in fact, security would probably remove you, right? But for whatever reason, we feel, if you're performing like with magic, they'll like, here, let me see those cards. Oh, hang on a second. Right? There are certain liberties that tend to be taken. I always say this, I go, for the most part, my running joke is, who's on the magician's side, right? Because, if you're a juggler and you're going, and you drop a ball and you pick it back up and you throw, they go, oh, wow, right? But you drop a card, man, it's you suck, magic boy, right? Then it's like, oh, I see, you're no good, right? Because they want to catch you. And, and that can be playful, but in the end, if you're not fooling them, and I think the problem is that too many go out before they should. You're right. It takes so much practice. It's really sweet what you said, but I always say I've spent so many years to get mediocre at this. Right? We don't, until you do it a lot and perform, then you realize, wow, man, this takes a lot of practice if you want to be really good at it. Right? And I think that's no different than any art, but I know since magic is the one that really does it for me, and often I say this, I picked magic because I'm too scared to be a comedian. That's scary. I can always fall back on some decent sleight of hand, but boy, if I bombed a joke,
yeah.
I want to flush myself down a toilet.
But it's all people like I do. I do half and half comedy and half horrible magic. Let me rephrase that. I do half horrible magic and half horrible comedy. So that way it mixes well, when people say, how do you do that? Or, I remember my son saying, don't you get nervous? And I go, yeah, I do, but it's a different type of nervous. And years ago, I would have horrible stage fright. And I remember a comedian, I was middling, and his name's Mike Wilmot, and I went up to him and I just said, listen, I don't know why. And this guy crushes. And he blows the roof off when he's up there. And I'm like, how do you not get nervous? And he said something really neat that I understand. He says, when you do it enough, he goes, it's a different type of nervous. Okay. It's a different type of nervous. It's not the nervous of them just, staring at you and, you have to make them laugh or whatever. it's kind of, I know I'm funny. I just want to make sure I hit all my notes. I want to make sure that, I'm doing it correctly. My problem is I end up getting lost up there, and I always ask an audience member, where am I? Like, what joke have I done? You know, and it's a running gag. Where am I? It just, I'm not trying to make fun of anybody with, all timers, but I do have some timers. So it's just, sometimes I don't know what's going on. Um, but yeah, it's just, when when you say, uh, how do you do comedy? I say the same thing with when you do magic. You do a cup and balls trick that is, I have to say, one of the best I've seen. Uh, it's very close to Daniel's. Uh, uh, the it's just, if you watch it, I remember when you did it in front of me. You had me, I taped you, and remember when you did it. I remember thinking, how, and I am what am I, 5 feet away from you, and it's just me and you in the room,
Yep.
and I know what you brought in there, and I know I'm looking right, and I'm like, how did he do that? How did he, and it's that feeling, that childhood feeling, when you're a child, to be, and I didn't want to say, I did swear, I did go, how did you do that, man? But when you sit there and say, how, for a comedian to make people laugh, and how do you, as a comedian, I ask, how do you do that as a magician, to have such a complicated routine? To you, it seems it's not complicated because, as you said, you've practiced it so many times. But when you're watching it, you're going, if he screws up one thing, like I'm sitting there going, if he screws up one thing on this, the whole trick is ruined, and you fall flat on your face. So I think, Al, it works both ways with comedy and magic. I love to meld the two. uh, but when you're up there and you're doing serious magic, and that's what I call it, it's not comedy magic, it's serious magic. What you're doing, it's very entertaining, but it's very, I have not seen that before. Or, how in the world did he do that? I am 3 feet away from this man, and how did he put that in his hand? Or how did he do that? And I never came up to you after going, how did you do that? How did you do that trick? Hey, can you show me how to do that? I didn't dare to do that because it's not in my pay scale. I could not learn how to do that. It would take me years to learn how to do that trick. And what I'm talking about is, it's a cup and balls trick that you do, that at I mean, when people think cup and balls, they think the little sponges or whatever. I mean, Al pretty much, has grapefruits. All of a sudden, these giant grapefruits will come up, and it's something to, I remember where, the beach was right there. It was a beautiful day. The sun was coming in, and I'm worried about getting the right light, and I wasn't happy with the light, and I remember seeing that, and it just brightened my day. I just thought, this is what magic should be. This is that feeling of when you're a child, of wonder, and you know the man's got to be a wizard. That's what I thought when I was a kid. The man's a wizard. He must know, not dark magic, but he must know, some secret book must have taught him, and he's, if he tells anybody, they will execute him. It's, Harry Potter kind of thing. You don't show people how you do that. But the level, uh, was stunning, and all the tricks that you were doing, from easy. Not, I say, you say easy. I'm watching it going, that's not easy. But if you're already accomplished magician, you're watching your lectures, your tutorials, you're sitting there saying, okay, yeah, all right, I understand what he's doing, because it's kind of like, a mechanic where, I open up my car hood right now. I have no idea what's going, I have no clue. But if you take it to another mechanic and you listen to both of them talk, they're talking a different language, and they're kind of whispering, going, if you break it down and play it backwards, they're like, how much do you think we could rip this guy off? So anyways, it's stunning to see that. How do you, like, who was your influence?
There was when I was about 12 years old, I went to this festival in Kleinburg called the Kleinburg Binder Twine. It was this fall festival. And do you
What,
remember the uncle?
what was
Do you
it
remember
called?
the uncle? What's that? It
What was it called?
was called the Binder Twine Festival. It's like twine, and you bind with it, right?
Right.
Do you remember the Uncle Bobby show?
No, I don't.
Okay, as kids, it was a show called the Uncle Bobby Show, and on it there was a fellow. His name was Ron Leonard. Real, like, he looked like the way a magician's supposed to look. He was tall, good-looking fellow in a tux. You know what I mean? Like that kind of gentleman, and very gentlemanly in how he delivered his stuff. And he was on that show, so I see him at this binder twine. He's performing there, right? And he's doing stuff. I'm going, wow, what are you doing? And he did this trick with a couple of rubber bands, and he wouldn't tell me how he did it. Right? I said, wow, that's really neat. How do you do? And he said, well, are you interested? And he kind of said, not how it's done, but if you're really interested in how something like that is done, then seek it out. Right? Which is actually what I did. I sought it out. So I ended up finding, the book on how to do this. And I just went whole hog. Left it for a bit. And then when I was more in my probably early 30s, I went back at it. And this time I went at it just whole hog, researching it and learning everything I possibly could. But it all started when I was about 12 years old by seeing this fellow, Ron Leonard. And the interesting part about this is I ended up years later performing in Toronto, and a gentleman comes up, he's elderly now, and he says, do you want me, do you want any help adjusting your table? And I says, no problem, got it. But he goes, no, I don't mind. I go, okay, if you wouldn't mind grabbing the other end. And then I realized it's Ron Leonard. Yeah, and I thought, oh wow! I go, holy cow! I go, Mr. Leonard. I go, and I said where I met you, and he's passed away now, sadly. But I mean, he was the kind of magician you'd like, the in the tux, like the old school, and that kind of, like Harry Blackstone Jr. kind of magician, right? But he had such a nice nature about him that you didn't want to challenge that. You know what I mean? Like you didn't want to go, hey, I saw, because he was so nice about everything he did. Right? So he took that whole confrontational part out of the equation. And I think that is such a wonderful way to perform. I try so hard to perform in that way. Take that part out of the equation because, there's many different quotes. One of my favorites though is people don't mind being fooled provided it's done by a gentleman. Right? If you do it in a very kind, caring, like if it's coming from the heart, right? They'll welcome it. So I always try, you don't want to go like, hey, gotcha. No, never. And he did that in this way that was so nice, right? That I thought, okay, if ever I had the good fortune of maybe that I could perform for a living, that would be the avenue I'd take, right? Because as I said, that like that quote earlier, if I don't fool you, I'm not a magician. But if I make you look foolish, then I'm not a human being. Right? It's about, I always have these I have a bunch of rules, but I always say, number one, love magic. Number two, love your audience. And number three, get your audience to love magic as much as you do.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
That's
so when they leave, they're loving it as much as you, and they're going, wow, that was fun, right? So I know when we were at the Marienbad, because I just had a brief time on the stage there. That was how my goal is to have them leave and go, wow, it was really like, he really looked like, he was like, he was so friendly. He was, he was so kind, right? That's what I want, right? Always, 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 always. And if you can do it that way, and strategically, when people are like that and they're comfortable around you, well, their guard goes down a little, right? Makes it a little easier to sneak things in and out, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Right. But it's all, be nice always. And I think sometimes we forget that, and maybe it's our egos talking, I don't know. But, if you're nice and you're kind, it becomes very difficult for anybody to interrupt, get under your skin, disrupt your rhythm, because everybody's too busy enjoying it to worry about making it a challenge between you and the magician.
Well, that's beautiful what you said. And it's even more beautiful because it's true. Um, I had to do a kids party, and I'm not a big fan of kids parties, but I had to do it because in the entertainment business, as they say, we really need the money. So,
Yeah.
and they warned me. The reason why I didn't want to do it is because the kid that was uh, doing the for the party, uh, it was his birthday. He hated magic. They told me that, and I'm like, well, why do you want me?
Yeah.
Why do I'm not, why do you want me to do, jokes and for kids? And he absolutely hates it. And they said no, his dad already got him, and wanted, God is going to surprise him with a magician. I'm like, well, I'm the wrong guy, but I didn't want to lose the gig, as they say. So I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it for him. I'm just gonna be silly and be myself, and I make them laugh. And he forgot about, see, his thing was he was worried about, I found this out after, he was worried about making, and he's young, he's worried about looking foolish. He thought the magician was going to make him look foolish. And I reassured his father, that's not going to happen with me. My whole thing is I look foolish. I mean, I don't know if you know James. Uh, he comes out to a lot of the magic shows. He's a nice guy. But he said, he was at the Magic Club. And I said, I want to try out this new trick. I got a whole bunch of tricks, and I got about 3 or 4 that I've been practicing. And he's like, you're going to do those at a comedy club for the first time? And I go, yeah. He goes, man, you got balls of steel. And I said, well, I've been practicing, and he's like, yeah, I know, but Vito, this takes a long time. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Anyways, um, afterwards, it went really well. And it went really well with the kid. And they always say the same thing. They always go, you play the bumbling magician. And I'm like, in my head, I'm going, yeah. I try not to, but that's what I look like, this bumbling magician that somehow made the trick work, you know. And they're not complicated, and they're supposed to be fun. Uh, so the kid loved it. Kid loved it, and the mother was happy, and I was happy, and he became a magic fan. And I told him, I said, if anybody is out there to make you look stupid, they're not a magician. They're just a cruel person.
Exactly. They're just a cruel person.
So I told him, enjoy magic if it gives you that feeling of wonder. Because one of the neatest things I ever did, Al, when I played a club, it was I had to do a comedy. It was a comedy club, and it was for last year on Easter. And this old woman, and it was she must have been 80 or 90. She's sitting there with her, her grandson, and the whole time just been staring, like what's next, hurry up, somebody needs to change my diaper, come on, let's go, what's going. And I did something as simple as the hide thing, the handkerchief. I'm not going to say it, but I made a handkerchief disappear right in front of her. And she went, holy crap, this guy's good. How did he do that? And it was such a wonderful feeling that people don't understand when you're performing. If people laugh hysterically, I look like steel face. I don't smile. I don't do that. But inside, I'm glowing with happiness. I'm getting this high of just this rush. And for her to say that, it just made you feel like $1 million. And that,
Yep.
I think people don't understand that about performers, that when you're performing, if I just stare at you like a mannequin, it doesn't really, the vibe just doesn't, they're just, you could tell when there's that vibe. But if there's a vibe of just in the beginning, they're very, I don't know about this, I don't know about this. And then within about 10, 15 minutes, they're just loving it. You're loving it. And it's just this beautiful symbiote relationship you're having with the audience that people these days, I see so many young comics, for some reason, they want to be mean. They want to, for some reason, be vicious, be political. I don't know how you could be political when you're 19 years old, but they want to be political. And then they wonder why they get the whole oof. You know, I'm not into that. I'm into, if you go to a club, and I told this to James. I said the point. I know what you're saying about why am I trying to do these tricks when I should spend years mastering them? And I'm like, James, I got to do them in front of an audience, and if I fall on my face, I've got a couple tricks that I could go back to that I'll be okay, and I'll get them back, or I'll tell them a joke, or in my head I already know what I'm going to do if I fail. Okay. So unless you do it, you know, you know, I don't want to bring up the person's name, but they constantly say they want to do this joke, they want to do this trick. They never do it, Al. They never do it. And I've offered them a million times saying, you know what? I've got a place that you come out, uh, and you can do these things. And don't worry if you fall flat on your face. You're learning, okay? You're not making, if they're paying you thousands of dollars, then I understand. But dude, you're going out there and you're going to work it for free just to get time. So just enjoy, and that's how you learn, because off your little mistakes you will learn. You'll learn what I did wrong, what I didn't. And their problem was they would just get too nervous, and I told them, just focus in on one person. Well, that's what I would do. I would just focus in on one person that was smiling, and I would just do it for them until I would feel comfortable enough to look around, and just to build up your confidence. So I would just tell them, just build up your confidence, man. Don't worry about it. But sitting around and not doing it, it's not gonna, you're not gonna learn anything. You're always gonna sit there and say, and I knew after the show, he came up to me and he said, because it was an awesome crowd, they were laughing at everything.
Mhm.
He came up and he said, I should have gone up and did time. And I go, yeah, you should have. You should have, because what happens next time, you could have a horrible crowd, and you're going to have a horrible experience up there. So
Mhm.
just, I just tell people, go out and do it. Go out and do it, and don't worry about, everybody falls flat in their face.
Yep.
Oh, that's
Say hi,
adorable.
Vito.
But you made her, oh my God, you made her disappear. I did that with my wife. No, I didn't. If she hears
Made her
it,
disappear?
no, no, no. She wants me to disappear. So anyway, she made my testicles disappear. about 23 years ago. They're in her purse. So I'm allowed to, once in a while, she'll give me one, but not both. I'm allowed one. That way I could be a half a eunuch, as they say. So, she's very supportive of. Is that important to have somebody? Hello.
Hello.
Is that important, uh, Al, to have a supportive person like your lovely wife there? To have somebody to sit there and say, I love what you're doing, or just hey, you got a trick to show them, you show them, and they have that wow factor, or does she sit there and go, nah, you could work on that a little better?
No, that's not Jeanette. That's not her. She loves the magical side of it. Very whimsical. Likes it's not about. I will, if I ask, I think this looks a little odd, say doing something, because you want everything to look natural, right? And if I would say, does that look a little odd to you? The answer would be, I don't know what you're doing, but maybe it looks suspicious. I don't know what you're doing, but something's up, right? So I go, okay, so how do I alleviate that suspicion? What if I did it this way? Oh, now I don't think anything. Okay, cool. But she's never one who's looking for method. Hers is about just having fun with the magic, right? Which is pretty cool.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And I sorry I got sidetracked there. Do you think that's a good idea to go out and just do magic, just to like again, in front of about 30, 40 people, and just practice? Just practice, and you've got an audience to practice in front of. Now, I'm not saying do it you just learned the trick that day. I'm saying you've taken a couple of months, and now you feel you're at 70%. Go out and practice it. Don't you think that's the correct way to do it?
I agree. Yep.
If you fall on your face, I mean,
Okay.
one of my favorite magicians of all time, and I try and emulate him, but I'm not as hyper, and I'm not, is Amazing Jonathan. We all know Amazing Jonathan, right? So, sitting around and sitting there saying, how does he do that? Or, don't be Amazing Jonathan, be you.
Yep.
If you're a silly person, be a silly person on stage. If you're a serious person, be that serious person on stage. Be yourself. And that's what I tell a lot of people that want to do comedy or magic. And you know what's frustrating? I find this weird. You meet people that they've done an open mic, because they sit there and they go, hey, you're a comedian? I go, yeah, I'm a comedian. Can't you tell by the vehicle I'm driving? So, and they just go, yeah, I'm a comedian too. And you're like, oh yeah, well, where have you played? Well, I did an open mic night, about 3 years ago, at Jim Bob's. And you're just going, well, you're not really a comedian. You just went up there and you did 3 minutes. Like, are you paid? To me, a magician or anybody, until you get paid, then you should, hey, I just used the plunger on my toilet. That doesn't make me a plumber. I don't go around telling people I'm a plumber. Do you need, is something wrong with your plumbing? Because I've got a plunger, and I think I could solve this for you. I think
I changed a light bulb, so I'm an electrician.
Yeah, exactly. I change a light bulb. Hey, I know to use a vacuum cleaner. I have my own service, house cleaning service. I mean, give me a break. Hey, and nothing against, hey, if you clean houses for a living, I'm not trying to make fun of that. I'm just saying that there's more to it than just vacuuming someone's floor.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you think that? See, before, When I started off, comedian, they would always, the older guys would sit there. If you said you were a comedian, they would say, "Have you gotten paid?" And if you said, "No, no, I haven't gotten paid," then they'd say, "Well, you're not a comedian. Until you get paid, then you're a comedian, like a professional comedian."
Yeah.
And that, to me, that goes with a magician too. Hey, I'm a magician. Great. Where have you worked? Well, I haven't, about 3 years ago, I went up on stage and I made a card disappear and I got a laugh and then I ran off. You're not a magician. You're trying to be a magician. If you kept at it, you're a magician. But to go around and telling people you're a magician, I don't think so.
It's it's the self-proclamation. I'm a magician. Okay. So where have you done it? You're right. Have you performed anywhere? That's the first question. Because unlike music, say, you could play guitar alone and enjoy the music. But if you're doing magic or sleight of hand alone, you're enjoying a different thing. You're enjoying the movements and the action, but you're not enjoying it needs another person in order for it to, the magic to happen. You can't do that so if you're saying, "Oh, I just do some tricks," you're right. Then have you actually created that sense of wonder for another person?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, in the end, the general interpretation of amateur and professional is, if you've done it and been paid for it, that would be deemed you've done it professionally. For most stuff, right?
Right.
Right. So magic, same thing. Yeah, if you said, "Yeah, I did a couple of," if you do it for your family and friends, there's nothing wrong with that. Right? It's totally fine, right? But that's not necessarily what you call a performing magician. Or there's a great quote which says, see if I can say it right. Amateurs do different tricks for the same people. Professionals do the same tricks for different people.
Right.
Because they have a set, they have an act. They don't, if I'm doing a show, I pretty much set in stone what I do. And on the rare occasion, I'll throw something new in, but for the most part, I won't. It'll be pretty much, this is what I do, and I don't veer from it, because it's taken long enough just to get good at those tricks, let alone add new ones. Yikes, right? So,
yeah. Have you ever had this? I don't know. I have to ask you, but have you ever had a show go horribly wrong?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And can you elaborate on that? Like what happened?
It was similar to what you said with the youngster who didn't like magic. Except what made it harder was that, generally speaking, kids will enjoy what the parents enjoy. So what made it really difficult was that I was a bit fairly new at it, just started getting to do some gigs and stuff, and all I kept getting was everyone was trying to bust me. I saw it, you put it there, and I got so rattled.
Yeah.
I couldn't do anything. I went, "Get me out of here."
Yeah.
I was new at it, and I was trying, they go, "Oh, I saw you stuck in your pocket. I saw this. I saw it." And I went, I got to go. I'm done. Right. So I literally, I managed to cut it a little shorter, like it was finished. And I went, and actually at that point, I thought, wow, I don't know if I want to do this anymore, because I get so rattled.
It's a horrible feeling. I've been there, Al. It's this horrible feeling where people have no idea. They forget that you have feelings, They just think, "Oh, he's just a performer. We paid for it." I had to do a Christmas party. I had to run from one show to another quickly.
Yeah.
and to get there on time to do, to play these 3 Christmas parties. So I'm running all over the place. And the second one I did was a nightmare. I had to play a hole, and I wasn't told that you had to dress up nicely, or yeah, like I wear my vest and but so anyways, I wasn't dressed up. Everybody's in their beautiful, tuxes or whatever. And the guy came up to me already annoyed that I wasn't dressed up in a tux. I told him I wasn't told to be in a tux. In my itinerary in the email, it said nothing to just, you know, I didn't wear any of that. So he was already annoyed with me. They told me, um, that, uh, okay, you're going to go on in 5 minutes. I go, great, because I was told I was going to be on at 9, because I got to be out of here by 10:30 to do the other Christmas party, right? And Christmas is the time when you make your most money. So you've got to run around and just get as many gigs as possible. So I kept saying, well, like what, like you said 5 minutes, it's been 15. Like, can we get going here? And they're like, no, well, they're having dessert and coffee right now. And I'm like, well, why would you serve them dessert and coffee? Like, why, like right now? I mean, I told you, just, I've got to get going. Anyways, 25 minutes later, he introduces me. The sound is screwed up because the DJ that they had, they weren't ready. So I have no microphone. I have nothing. And it was just like, and people have been drinking, and it's just, anyways, just heckle over here, heckle over here. This guy, he's running around, and it's a corporate, so I can't swear. I cannot go after a heckler, right? You can't, especially when they're paying. You can't, right? If it's a corporate, it was for uh, I won't say the manufacturer, but anyways, it was for a car manufacturer, so it was a big one. So, I've got these hecklers. Anyways, I cut it short because I'm like, you know what? I'm here to have fun. You guys aren't. I got to get to another gig. Enjoy your coffee cake and whatever. But I got it going. But I did 15 minutes, which was supposed to do 45, but I did 15. And I, as I was going to the other gig, I get a phone call from the agent going, "What are you doing?" And I just said, "Well, they weren't into me, man. I got to get to the other gig." And he's like, "Oh," he's like, "Vito, no." And Al, when you just feel like a shell, you're like, "Come on, like, give me a break. Like, you weren't even there." And he's just like,
Mhm.
no, you don't understand. This does not happen. Okay. This does not happen. You were supposed to be there for 45 minutes. You're only there for 15. Okay. They paid, such and such amount. Now I got Buddy yelling at me, and I go, did Buddy tell you that I had nothing but hell coming at me? Just nothing, but nobody was listening. Nobody could care. I had no microphone. He's like, wait a minute, you had no microphone? I go, no, I had no microphone. And he goes, well, I didn't know that, So anyways, but I went to the next gig angry because it's now it's almost 11 or something, and I know that they've been drinking. And when you walk into a place and you just go, yeah, they're just out for blood. And I went out there and I said, I'm going to do my time, but I'm not gonna lose it on a single person or anything like that. And I'm not going to be mean. But I'm just going to do my time. That's it. And if somebody wants to interrupt, I'll say, hey, great, how you doing? Hey, thanks for interrupting, and continue with my show. Oh, it was one of the best shows I did, because I was just so amped up and angry at what happened half hour earlier. And you're driving around, it's hilarious. You're driving around at wintertime in Canada, getting to gigs, people forget that you nearly die 5 times trying to get to a gig, So I'm flying to get to this show, and I'm, did I forget this? Did I forget, what have I forgot? Anyways, have you ever gotten where you've gone on stage and you've just, something switches inside of you where you just say, you know what, I'm here to, do a job. I'm here to do a show. If you're not into it, you're not into it. But I'm not going to make the mistake like a Vito made where he just walks off. I'm going to do my time and just, I'm not going to let these people bother me. Because the last show you did where you said, you know what, I don't like this, this rattled me. Did it, when you went home, because I remember going home angry about that show and not sleeping a wink at how it turned out. Just saying that's never going to happen again. I'm never going to let them have the take, I'm never going to, bless you. I'm never
Thank
going
you.
to have, I'm there to entertain. I'm not there to be, a lamb to the slaughter. That's not what I'm there for. Okay. So do you ever get that feeling of, hey, the next show I'm doing, I've learned what happened. I'm going to go out there and I'm just going to attack.
I think the reason the one happened like it did was because it was a lack of experience on my part. I was still kind of learning and getting the hang of it, and I guess the naive part of me not realizing that, hey, there are people like that. I remember it brought up another one I remember where I was hired, and it was just walking around at a party, and they they did not want a magician there. The people
Yeah.
themselves, they didn't want you there. Like, it was as plain as day. And in fact, I'd be walking up to somebody, spreading a deck of cards, like, hi, I'm hired for this. Like, I didn't come unannounced. And as I'm doing this, somebody would walk right in the middle with their drink and start talking to the person I was doing that for. I went, oh wait. And eventually, because I was supposed to be there for an hour, so I tried what I could for about 20 minutes, and then I stood around for the next 40. I just stood there and I went, all right, I'm done, bye. And then later, we got a complaint that they said he didn't perform.
Yeah.
And I said to the agent, I said, they didn't want me there. It was plain as day. And I actually ended up telling him, I go, don't pay me. He goes, I can give you half. I go, don't worry about it. Forget it. Don't pay me then.
Yeah.
And I said, no question. It was, I go, I maintain. I go, like, I'll say, if I'll be the first to, I'll fall on the sword and say, yeah, no, I did a rotten job. But I went, no, I was trying. How are you? Nice to see you. What's going on? Right. So I took having said that, I learned from that. I went, okay. So later on, I remember, and again, it's always about experience, going to a gig where they were the same way. Right. Not into it. And I go, hi, how you doing? I go, look, I go, how are you? I go, I get paid to do this. So whether or not you enjoy it, I'm going to be performing. I go, I'm going to show you this, whether you like it or not, because I am hired to do this. And this is what's going to, and they go, okay. Like, it actually changed the attitude, right? This is what I'm here for. So, hey folks, like it or not, I'm going to, so in that hour when I leave, they go, oh yeah, he stuffed it. It's like he forced it down our throats. I go, that's cool. Yes. And I realized that was inexperience on my part, because I was like, well, okay, if you don't want to do it. And then I went, no, I'm getting paid to do this. I will do this. And I find I took a much more lighthearted approach, and that went very well. And then they ended up going, oh yeah, he was fun. He's like, and they even said, he goes, oh yeah, we were busting his balls and he didn't care. He's like, no,
and that's what I tell people that, want to do comedy or magic or whatever, or perform or whatever you want to do. I tell them, listen, don't let them get to you.
No.
Never let an audience, I tell them what happened to me. And it's a horrible feeling when you got 300 people staring at you. It's a horrible feeling.
Oh, it makes you sick to your stomach.
Oh, it does. But you sit there and say, you know what? I'm making pretty good coin here. And I had to do a Christmas party the year after. Same thing happened. You just know it's going to be that crowd. And there was just this woman that just was laughing hysterically at everything I did. And I said, you know what? Can you do me a favor? Can you sit right here in front of me, right here? Because I'm going to do a show just for you,
Yeah.
because you deserve it, because I love you. You're important to me, and she just, and finally everyone came around because I was just doing the show, just looking at her, just doing it for her. And everyone else was like, hey, what about us? you know what about us now? Like, we're the chuckles became, laughter, and then hysterical laughter, and then they were like, and it just, this release of just, all right, great, I got him, and I figured out how. It's kind of a puzzle. I tell people, hey man, it's a puzzle. Okay, go up there. If you got the pieces, your pieces are your set. Okay, just put them together. Okay, and just, if they see that you're scared, you're ruined. Okay, it's like, bleeding in a shark tank. You're done. Okay, but if you show them that you're not scared, that you're there to have fun, and if you want to come along for the ride, please come along for the ride. If you don't, no problem, but I'm going to laugh my brains out. And whoever's laughing, great. Thank you for having fun. And that to me is the important thing. And then, again, you have the agent. Well, my agent, he's just like, hey, good, good show, good show, you know, or and that's it, But it's important to not just, I see guys freeze up, and it hurts me. You ever get embarrassed when you look at somebody and it's going so bad that you get embarrassed and you want to, like, a lot of people say to me after, they go, we thought you were going to be an asshole. After I talk to them and I tell them, you know, kind things, I just say, hey, don't let things get to you. Don't, have fun, relax. And they always say, I always thought you were going to be an asshole, but
You
you're actually a very nice guy.
go, why would you think that? Yeah.
Yeah, why would you think that? And it's just like, I don't, I sometimes I see you, and I just think, maybe it's the vibe I give. I don't know, but I'm actually a very kind person. If you're kind to me, that's the way I've always been. But if I see somebody struggling, having a hard time, I think it's important to go up to them and just let them know that, hey, don't worry about it. You did fine. Okay, you just confidence goes a long way. you know
Yes.
and if you crush somebody's confidence, you're destroying their spirit. Okay, so I try and instill that to anybody that that wants to listen after a show or during a show. I mean, I've literally had to, where I've had to MC a show where they've had somebody go up and say, hey, they're going to do like 10-15 minutes, and I'm like, okay, great, and I give them a good intro, and they're having a horrible time. And they, you know they're so scared, Al, that they don't get off stage. Like, they don't
Wow.
say, okay, that's my time. They just talk more and more. And I'm being told to go up there and take the mic from them. And it's the worst feeling in the world.
Ugh.
And, you go up there and you just go give them a hug and just say, hey, man, give them a hand. You did an awesome, bless you. You did an
Thank you.
awesome job. And I just whisper to them, I just say, don't go anywhere. You just stick around. I want to talk to you after. And they think I'm going to give them crap, and I don't. I think that's important, especially in this day and age. We live in a time of just visceral hatred. We love watching somebody fail. For some reason, it's enjoyable, and I've never understood that. I remember getting an email from you when I was trying to start, trying to do my own thing. And you were like very kind and just saying, hey, you don't know me, but I like what you're doing. And if you ever need help with magic or anything like that, please let me know. And I just thought, who is this guy? And then I looked around and I was like, oh, wow, this guy's really good. and you were just the very kind. You're like, hey man, whatever you need to know, you tell me. I'm going to show you some stuff. Okay. I'll go slow because I've heard you're kind of slow, but we're going to
I
go,
didn't say that.
we're going to go nice. And I know you didn't, but you're going to go nice and slow. And you were very, giving, which I wish there were more people like that. We need that in the world. I tell people that. I go, you need to be giving. You need to. John the Magic Guy, very giving person. He'll give you anything. He gives me tricks. He gives me stuff. He just throws it at me. And I go, what's this? And he goes, trust me, you'll love it. Just use it. I haven't used it in years. You'll like it. And it's just, to me, it's just, I walk away going, that guy cared. And it means a lot because we do live in a very cold world. Okay. And if you're kind to somebody, I always say this, if you're kind to somebody, kindness will come back. Good will come out of it. Okay. So, yeah, anyways, I always thought that was very honorable of you to always do that. You always wanted, you were like, hey man, you want to learn? I'll teach you. I'll show you. I'll show you something really cool, and that's something that
Okay.
I wish more people were like that, but they're very guarded. For some reason, they're worried that you're gonna uh, steal their act or something. And I'm like, there are stuff that you could show me that I could do, Al, but there are other things that you do. There is no way I could do that. And I could tell an awesome joke, and you could sit there and go, I don't know how you do that. I mean, and I'm like, they're just words. And I ask you, how do you do that trick? And you go, hey, they're just tricks, man. You just practice. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, it's very, that trick you did is very complicated. You're like, no, you're making it complicated. So it's that, like, I understand what you're saying by stand up wise. Hey, how do you tell jokes? And I'd be scared or whatever. And I do this. I look at a magician of your caliber, and I just go, how does he do that? And you're like, oh, it's easy. Oh, it's easy. And I'm like, no, that is not easy. You know, it's years of practice of failing at home. And I mean, I've seen you, I remember asking you to cut a deck of cards. You did it with one hand, and you did it three different ways. And I was like, there's no way I could do that. There's no way. But you were like, here, just tape it and study it. Okay, that's it. We'll go nice and slow. And I always thought you would be a perfect teacher. You know, not only you know, not just in life, but just in just being supportive, kind. And I think I look back on New Year's. I looked at old teachers that I went to school with, and the ones that were loved the most, people 30 years later are still talking about them. They've passed something. It sucks, but they've passed. But yet you have people now talking about them, going, he was awesome, or she was an awesome teacher. And that resonates through time, years. Like, think about that. And I always sit there and go, that is a beautiful quality to have. That's a teacher. That's a sensei. That's somebody that you go, that's respect, and you listen to every word they say because it's important, you know. Anyways, I know you don't like it when people blow smoke up your skirt there, but it's the truth, Al. And also, you do. A lot of people don't know this, but Al also does incredible origami. I remember you telling me. I mean, you did it with a Canadian dollar bill and a dollar bill. Anybody ever see Blade Runner, the unicorn? Al can do that, and he could do scorpions. I mean, some of the most. Do you have any there?
Yep. I'll be right back.
While he's gone, I'll show you guys this. Look at this, throw it off. Okay. Okay. See that? Is he back?
2021 is the year of the ox. So I can hold it up.
Sorry, what did you say?
2021 is the year of the ox.
Okay.
So that's a $1 bill, American $1 bill. I made an ox, but what's really cool is look at the front. If you look at it head on,
Oh, okay, yeah.
see the pattern of the eyes?
Yes.
Yeah, right. So, and then one of my other crazier ones.
$1 bill. Like there's nothing else.
No cuts, no glue, no nothing. Here's a beetle I made just messing around. Ooh. And there you go. Right. And that too is just a single piece of paper, no cuts, no glue.
That's in one single piece of paper.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy. Yeah. I like to give them away as gifts.
Yeah, you do that.
Yeah.
You give them away as gifts, and to me, I remember you said something, and I always this means I always say this to people, but I remember you saying this to me. You said the most valuable thing you give somebody is your time, and that's the truth. You give somebody your time, that is just a gift you could never get back, because time is precious.
You can never get it back.
Right. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're our. Anyways, who do you enjoy watching? Real quick, we'll wrap this up. But who do you enjoy watching as a magician?
Guy I like his name's Paul Gertner, and he does a cup and ball routine that is unsurpassed. At first, I watch him do it, and I've been watching it for 10, 15 years, and I still don't catch and get when he does his moves, but more so than how he performs, because he's one of these guys who does insane sleight of hand, but he's such a nice man. That's the and once it was described by another magician once saying, to describe Paul Gertner, say, picture the nicest person you know doing the most insane magic a human being could do, and that's Paul Gertner. But yeah, the most important, right? Picture the nicest person you know, right? Another one for anybody who does magic would know, David Williamson is another, and his goofiness belies his ninja skills. Like
Yeah.
he's goofy as can be. Like he is just a goofy guy. I think he could be like, I think that if he was a magician, he could easily be a comedian, because what he does is, it is so comedic, but his sleight of hand is, it's so insane, it's masked by his goofiness. So those would be two of my big favorite people.
Yeah.
Right there. And I've gotten to meet them both, which is really cool. And they're as nice in person as they are like when I've seen them perform.
Yeah, that throws me off when when they say don't ever meet your heroes, and some can be brutal, and others that you think are going to be brutal are actually very sweet and very kind. It kind of throws me off.
Yeah.
So I kind of I try and go towards them cautiously, and some are like, why are you standing over there, with your pants off? Just come, pull up your pants, come over here and talk to me. And it's this kindness that I like, and I think that's what we need more than anything. And where are you? I know you've been doing tutorials online. I know a lot of people don't know this, but Al will do like magic shops, because the coof, they're closed and they cannot, or they're only allowed so many people inside the store at once. So in the back of most of these magic clubs, they'll have like a space where they could show off. He can do a tutorial showing his, a trick to a bunch of magicians to come in. I know that's something that you do, but now you're doing it. You have to videotape it, and it's just the way things are right now. How's that been coming along?
It's not easy. Um, the camera is a whole new beast, eh? Like performing for a camera, where when you're I don't think for me, and maybe it's just my experience, but anything that's released like on YouTube or something like that, you're talking 20 or 30 takes, right? Because I'm so OCD that I'll zoom in and go, nope, I saw something right there. Delete, do it again, do it again, do it again. And performing for a camera, showing all the enthusiasm that you'd show when people are there, because you said it earlier, you're right. You feed off their energy, right? So when you're performing for a blank, like a camera, there is no energy. You have to, what's the word I'm looking for? You have to supply it all. So it's actually quite exhausting. It's very tiring mentally to make them, because, as I said, anything, it'll take 10, 20, 30 takes to do it. But I mean, it is a labor of love, because it is fun because it's great. You put that one on there, and I'm up to, I think, 44 subscribers. Yes, go me. I'll be signing autographs in the lobby. And so
Great stuff.
it's a start. I mean, you have to start somewhere, right? I look forward to when this goes away so I can start performing for real people again.
Yeah, I know. Me too. And do you have those elastics? Or if not, don't worry about it.
Forgot these.
Okay. Can you show us this?
Yeah.
Okay, and can you tell me what you call
this?
This
This is interesting, because this is the elastic trick I was talking about. This is going to be it, except I'm doing it with coins.
Okay.
Right. See, the elastic trick is having two coins. Now you can see here that you can't connect them, right? Do you see what I mean?
Right.
Like they're not going to link together in any way. Sorry, I'll keep that in the view, but if you kind of rub it just right, you can make them link. Can you see it? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now that would be one way. If you want to see it another, can you see that one there?
Yeah.
Okay, watch this. Put this one through here and just kind of pass it right through.
Yeah, I love it. I love that.
That does look cool, doesn't it?
Yeah. It does.
Well, it looks pretty neat. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, buddy. It was a pleasure. That was fun.
Yeah. Well, next time we'll, I'm sorry. I'm trying my best to figure this crap out. I'm not a techie person, but I'll figure it out.
I think you did a great job. It was awesome.
Well, we'll see. I'm sure once I look at it and I'll go, oh yeah, this I screwed this up. So people don't know I've been talking to Al Grose. I'm going to put a link to his YouTube page, and please subscribe to him, please. You will love his work. And if you're looking for him to do a show, by all means contact him. He'd love to do a show for you. So thank you so much, Al. Very kind of you to do this. And hopefully when this apocalypse is over, uh, we could do some shows together.
I look forward to it.
Thank you, Al.
Take care.